Hello, English 231. My name is Tommy Splone, and I am doing my oral presentation on the Underground Railroad. I'm going to give you just a little bit of background information on the Underground Railroad and also talk about some of the most prominent people that helped run the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad ran from around 1810 to the 1860s. The term Underground Railroad became the most popular in the 1840s. The Underground Railroad was not what you would think that it would be. It was not an actual railroad. It was a network of individuals that helped to free slaves. These individuals were called conductors that helped the slaves along routes to where they would hide at. A lot of these hiding places were called stations or depots, and they were often houses, churches, schools, barns, basements. In many of the houses, there were also secret passageways that would lead into different areas that they could get out of quickly. Many of these individuals that helped to hide the slaves were business owners, farmers, and ministers that wanted slavery abolished. These slaves traveled at night by foot, train, or boat. They did their traveling at night because they did not want to be captured again. This reduced the risk of them getting captured greatly. Many locations of the Underground Railroad ran to the north to the free states such as Pennsylvania and New York. There were central stations set up in Philadelphia and New York. Many of these slaves traveled all the way to Canada to be completely free. The reason for this is that there was a law in the states that was called the Fugitive Slave Act. This act stated that slaves captured would be sent back to their owners. In Canada, there was no such thing. Slaves were able to sit on juries, they were able to run for office, and they also could live wherever they wanted to live. There were many influential people in the Underground Railroad. There were Quaker abolitionists, which was an established group that helped to free the slaves. Frederick Douglass was another influential person. He was a former slave himself, and he had hid slaves in his home and helped over 400 escape to Canada. And the most prominent and well-known person that we all know is Harriet Tubman. She escaped a life of slavery in 1849 from Maryland. She suffered a great amount of tragedy while she was a slave. She was beaten, and she was ready to live a life of freedom. She made 19 trips back to the South after she escaped herself and helped over 300 slaves escape to freedom themselves. She also led intelligence operations and had a commanding role in the Union Army. Could you just imagine a time where communication was the key in this? These slaves trusted this group of people to help them get to freedom. The Underground Railroad eventually came to an end during the Civil War in 1863. The number of slaves that actually escaped is unaccounted for. Some accounts say that between 1820 and 1860, over 1,000 per year escaped. Other reports state that only 2,000 during that whole time frame escaped. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I hope I gave you a little bit more information that you may not have known about for the Underground Railroad. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great semester.